Working with a developer is definitely a learning process. Even if you've done it a time or two, you'll probably learn something new about how to make it go more smoothly every time you collaborate. Today, we're going to do a quick rapid fire session of my top 10 tips for working with a developer. The most common hangups I've come across with designers working with developers all relate back to organization. Organization around your design files, how you schedule your projects, how you organize everything for your clients, and more. To make sure your projects go as smoothly as possible, make sure you have everything organized on your own first. That way, the new steps that get added in when you do the handoff to a developer will fit right in. Something that can add more time than necessary when you're onboarding a new client is the quoting process. When you have your own packages listed on your website but aren't quite sure how your developer's prices fit into all that, getting a quote and timeline together for a client can add a couple days. Instead, work with your developer on packages that include both of your services, including what it includes, the price, and the timeline. That way, as long as your client doesn't need the package customized, all you need from your developer is a start date. Right along with the last tip, it's important that you know what is included and what isn't included in your developer's packages. Your developer might say that they include 4 custom pages in their packages, but that likely doesn't include things like sliders, e-commerce, or other special features. Be sure to have a conversation around this before your first or next project with them, and always ask if you have any questions. Along with communicating about what's included in their packages, as a rule of thumb, just communicate about everything. Before your first or next project, talk to your developer about what they'll need to get started, what their timeline will look like, who will communicate with the client, what all is included, and more. Anything else you can think of should be talked about before a project begins. All of these might seem like little things that can be ironed out as you go, but doing that can add a lot more time and stress to your project. But no matter how much you communicate before the project starts, your developer will likely run into a few questions once they dive in. Things like, where should these links go? What do you want the mobile menu to look like? And what parts of this should be on every page are questions I've come up in the past working with designers. I like the designers I work with to join a Slack group that I have. That way we can communicate back and forth easily without either of us having to stare at our inbox all day. While it is important to be available for questions, that doesn't mean your developer wants to be forced to ask them. That being said, don't assume your developer will understand what you want if your design isn't complete. Or if your mockup shows the same picture in the header of every page on the website, don't assume that we'll realize you want your client to be able to change it out on every page. The more details you can include, the better, and the fewer issues that you'll run into down the road. Right along with that point, don't be afraid to include notes with your designs. Whether it's a separate PDF right in another page in your Illustrator file or right on top of the mockups, having notes is helpful. That way you don't have to worry about making assumptions and you know your developer has all the information they need right in front of them. To change things up a bit, our 8th tip is all about understanding what works and what doesn't on a website. Before you go and reinvent the wheel in your next design project and send the mockups off to your client, check with your developer first to make sure it's feasible. You might find that something is out of scope, will hurt SEO, or will be hard for your client to manage on their own. When in doubt, go back to our 4th tip and communicate. We're almost near the end here, but my 9th tip is to hand off more than the development of your custom websites. A lot of times designers think of developer collaborations as something that can only be done on these huge projects. Those bigger projects are always fun, but there are other ways you can collaborate with a developer on smaller projects as well. A lot of developers will have an offering for you to work with them a few hours a month for things that pop up like maintenance or updates to clients you've worked with in the past. This is perfect for taking a little extra non-design work off of your plate. And last, and the biggest tip I can give you about working with a developer is to choose the right person to collaborate with. It's hard to trust someone with your client projects. You're trusting them to treat your client well, do everything they say they can do, and do your designs justice. Along with the quality of work, you also want to make sure you get along with your developer as a person and have the same communication standards. For example, if you're the kind that likes to hop on the phone at a moment's notice, there might be some developers who aren't the right fit for you. Working with the right person can truly make or break a project, so be sure you do some screening before you dive in. If you're ready to start collaborating with a developer on your design projects, be sure to sign up for my free email series to learn all about what you need before your first collaboration, all the steps of the process, and exactly what you can do to find the perfect developer for you. If you have any questions about what it's like to work with a developer or how you can make your next project go more smoothly, be sure to leave a comment below and let me know. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and be sure to hit that subscribe button.